KJCT 8 Sports.
The time, as they say, has come to give kudos to the best stories, best sports stories, I should say, of 2012, and it comes to us from a place that really no one expected. But I guess that's what makes it great, right? Because coming into 2012, if you had told me that the Western Slope would have a team competing for a state title in any classification on the football field, I probably would have been able to name at least 5 or 6 teams right off the top of my head. Rifle, Palisade, Grand Junction, Hotchkiss, maybe even Olathe or Montrose. Any one of those teams, based on past success, would have been a pretty safe bet. But the Cedaredge Bruins? Oh yes, and because of what they did, they're our #1 local sports story of the year for 2012. No one saw them coming. The Cedaredge Bruins, a team that had been a doormat and a whipping boy for teams in 2A, comes out of nowhere in 2012, moving down to 1A and producing not only a winning season, but a league title for the first time in over a decade. They qualified for the state title game as well for the first time since 1992. Not to mention head coach Brandon Milholland, whose calm yet focused direction of this team was critical, especially in the postseason. But things didn't start out all fine and dandy for the Bruins. Cedaredge dropped their opening game at home to Eagle Valley 32-6. However, that was the last time they tasted defeat in 2012. Wins against Cortez, Dolores, and Olathe set up a showdown at 1A powerhouse Hotchkiss midway through the year. Hotchkiss had been a state semifinalist the past 2 seasons. However, in a battle of established power and new kid on the block, the Bruins did not back down, scoring early against the Bulldogs to take the early lead and holding on late for a 21-20 win. The Bruins cruised throughout the rest of the schedule, clinching the league title, and went into the postseason as the #3 seed. They hosted Centauri in the first round, fell behind early, but then rallied behind the leadership of Markley and others, the way they had so many times during the year. They scored 41 points in the second half to win easily 55-14. The next week, not as much offensive output, but 18 points was just enough as they beat Monte Vista by a score of 18-0. And then came the state semifinals and a rematch with Hotchkiss on the same field where the Bruins had won just a month earlier. But this time something was different. Dante Markley, their leader at quarterback, was out with a concussion. So enter backup Trent Walker, a junior who had only taken a handful of snaps all season.
Once you get into the flow of the game, you have everybody in blue behind you on the field and in the stands. It comes easy when you get in the flow. Walker
overcame those nerves in a big way, and with poise of a seasoned vet, led the Bruins to an 18-16 win and a berth in the state title game. Cedaredge would face undefeated and #1 seed Buena Vista, where the Demons had outscored opponents by an average of 45 points during the regular season. Cedaredge didn't seem to care, though. They dominated the Demons on both sides of the ball for most of the game, leading the entire way and then hanging on late for an 18-16 win and the school's first state title in football.
To come out of a 12-1 season and get the state championship, it's pretty awesome.
No one saw them coming in 2012, but those that witnessed what they did will never forget it. And a story possibly worthy of its own sports movie, and I may have stretched the truth at the beginning of that when I said that no one saw the Bruins coming. Well, there was one person that did, and that was Hotchkiss head coach Zach Lemon. At the beginning of the year, I went out there to talk to him and his team because they were the preseason #1s according to the Denver Post, and I talked with him with the assumption that the Bulldogs were just going to cruise through their league schedule and then reach the playoffs once again. Now, he stopped me mid-sentence and said, well, you know, we've got Cedaredge in our league now, so it's going to be a little bit tougher than you might think. Now, seeing as Hotchkiss had beaten the Bruins 26-3 the year before, I kind of chuckled inside when he said that, but sitting here now, Coach Lemon, it looks like you knew something that no one else did. The Bruins finished the season 12-1, 5-0 in league play, and when you compare that to their 4-6 and 3-4 finish in 2011, you've got all the makings of a storybook turnaround and a perfect candidate for our top story of the year in 2012 in local sports on the Western Slope. So congrats to the Bruins, their school, their fans, and the community of Cedaredge, and thank you for a magical season that this sportscaster will not forget anytime soon. And that is a look at sports. We are back after this.